Hey guys, welcome back to Crypto. In today's content, we'll talk about BTC. We'll take a look at BTC on the 3D, on the weekly, and on the monthly time frame. And we'll discuss the price action we could be anticipating over the summer, over the next 2 to 4 monthly, right, and all that good stuff, right. So now, what we've been saying back in January was like the first half of 2023 going to be a bull cycle, right? Meaning like price action will be controlled by the bulls, right? The first half of 2023. I know Leroy going to be like the second half will start in July and all that good stuff, but you got to anticipate these reversal. Price action will now start to reverse in July. July could be like the start of the bottom formation. I'm not saying it will, okay, and all that good stuff, right? But generally, right, between May and June, right, we tend to see some cycle top and all that good stuff, right? So we've been seeing it over the last few years. I don't have to go through the chart, so you can go through the chart and see what I'm saying between regarding May and June, right? So now we're going to discuss our 3D strategy, right? Price action below the 3D21, right? Might be negative, right? Especially after a five-way structure, right? It tends to be a reversal pattern. Okay, it tends to be a reversal pattern. So what we're getting right now, price action below the 3D, MACD been negative since the 19th, but we never gotten a price, right, closing below the 3D21, right? I know some bulls gonna be like, okay, we closed below the 3D21 with a negative MACD right here. But if you watch my video back then, I was like, if we break out again above the 22.8, above the 2D21 EMA, price action likely to be continuing its uptrend because of the previous correction right here, the flat correction, right? So we had a flat correction, and I was bullish right here. The only reason I was bearish right here was like all the indicators were shifting down, so you could not ignore it. But at the same time, you got to get an invalidation point, right? If we take a look at it on the 2D basis, we broke out above the 2D21, even jump all the way up to like a 22.8, just about that range. I was like, okay, that's it. That's the point of invalidation. The flat correction now is valid. MACD is positive. It's time to shoot up to the upside to the 31, 32K area, right? Another example is like if we go back to 2021, September 2021, after we got the zigzag formation to the downside, our 2D MACD and 3D MACD were both negative, right here, right? So what we said was that, okay, if we break out above the 2D 21 EMA, right, back then right there, right, if we break out above the 2D 21 EMA with a positive 2D MACD, we'll shoot up to the upside. So we stayed bullish right after this breakout right here. The problem with this correction is like you just don't know how deep they're gonna go, right? And at the same time, you don't know what pattern you're going to get. Are you gonna be getting a 3-wave or 5 waves? Sometimes you get a 5. Sometimes you can get 5-wave structure in terms of correction. And I've been discussing it on the macro level from like a 69 to a 15.5, right? So now our previous move was a 3-way move, but was a flat correction, not a zigzag, right? Like that. Okay, this one was a zigzag and this one was a flat. So now what are we getting right now? It looks like it wants to print a zigzag, right? However, right, since we're already putting like a 5-way structure and it's already May, right, middle of May, right, and all that good stuff, we could be seeing a cycle top, meaning like the 6-month cycle for BTC could be nearly over, because we're putting our low, right, our last low, right, I would say like first week of November, right, but the initial low, the initial bottom was like November 21st. So, and if you want to basically wait till November 21st to say like, hey, that's our 6-month cycle, we might not be breaking out like up to 40K between now, right, and May 21st. Okay, we only got like 9 days later. Okay, it is the 12th of May. So the probability of pushing up higher is getting lower, right? However, for whatever reason, if we take out the monthly high, if we take a look at BTC on the monthly high, it is just about like a 20 9851, right, on Bitstamp, or depending on which exchange you're using. Okay, if it takes out the monthly high, that could change everything. Okay, not the 3D, not the 2D, but on the monthly basis, if it takes out the monthly high before the end of the month, right, yes, that could basically flip positive, meaning like bulls could be back in control. So we have to watch all of that good stuff, right? Because it is a top formation. It is going to be very tricky. We cannot say with 100% probability, market will reverse back down. Okay, so now we're getting a top formation. I don't want to discuss these patterns, because most of you guys already know, so I don't want to be discussing something you already guys know, right? We already got the head and shoulder pattern, but I'm just going to talk about it for a little really quickly. Okay, so that's a left shoulder, right shoulder. Okay, that's a left shoulder, Leroy. Okay, top, big head right here, and your right shoulder right there. Okay, so it is a head and shoulder type formation. If you do a 1-to-1 extension, right, that'll take you all the way down to roughly around like a 22-23k area. Okay, just for the extension. All right, not Fibonacci, not anything else. Okay, so now let's take a look at it in terms of Fibonacci, because we're going to get more accurate price level when we take a look at it in terms of fibs, right? So if we do a swing low from our 15.5, give or take, right, up to a 31k area, right, our 50% pullback going to be all the way down to like a 21.9, right, and 382 going to be somewhere around like a 23.8, but I would just say 24k and 22k just to make it easy for Leroy, right? So these two price levels, right, going to represent a support area. We don't know which one will be strongly supporting the price for a possible reversal, because remember we discussed it in terms of the macro reversal from like the 15k up to the next macro bull pick. The move we're getting right now, the move we already gotten right here, we would say, let's take a look at it like that, right? This move right here could possibly going to be our wave 1 for the next bull run. Okay, so what we're looking for is like our correction phase. It could come all the way down to 15.5, but once again, since it is a wave 2, we don't expect it like to be pretty fast. Okay, I mean, it can still be, it can whip down to like a 15.5 with no warning, but I wouldn't expect it, right? Because if we take a look at it on a quarterly basis, let's take a look at BTC on a quarterly. Our first quarter was a 70% move, right? And I don't expect like us to lose our quarterly bull run, right, in one quarter again, right? Meaning like getting our first engulfing, getting our first quarter, right, being engulfed by the second quarter, meaning like price action coming right back down to like a 15.5. That's going to be pretty hard. Anything could happen, anything can happen, but I'm just not ready for that yet. Okay, so I don't see, the probability is not very high, but if we basically break below the 0.618, we'll start to talk about that possibility, right? But I'm talking about in time, not in price, right? What I mean about in time is like an engulfing candle on the quarterly, like within the next like 60 days to come down to like a 15.5. That's what I'm saying. Okay, because we got about like a 45 to 50 days to close the quarterly cycle, right? So now, so if we take a look at it in terms of like a correction, this could be our wave 2 correction, right? But once again, we don't know how deep it'll go, so we will just respect these fibs, right? 50% pullback, 0.618. If we break 0.618, yes, now we could even be looking for like a 100% retracement down to like a down to like a 15.5 Leroy, okay, to be exact, right? But that's going to be a different analysis. We'll take a look at it once we break, or if we break below the 0.618 at 20k area, right? But in the short to medium term, we don't know yet, right? We don't know if this move going to be a zigzag formation like that, right? Dip down to like a 382 or even down to like a 50% and basically shoot up. That is a possibility. It is even a probability for BTC to retrace, just like that and shoot up to the upside. Nothing is saying like BTC has to basically drop all the way down to these lows, right? So we just have to take it step by step, right, within the next like a few days and all that good stuff to see, what type of to wait and see what type of price action we're going to get, what type of correction we're going to get in terms of wave analysis, and what type of indication we're going to get from our indicators. MACD is still negative, right? The 5D MACD, I discussed it previously, right? And what I was saying was like, if the 5D MACD crosses negative, right, it is a validation of our bearishness on our 3D basis. What does it mean? It simply means like how we get these like a false signal on the 3D, how to avoid it, right? It's like to watch the 5D MACD to get a higher probability. It doesn't mean like the 5D cannot fail neither, but it is just telling us like, hey, if my 5D MACD is negative, right, I could basically trust my 3D MACD, right? And the price difference not going to be, not going to be a lot, okay, depending on the volatility, right? So as you can see right here, even though we flipped negative like since the 19th of April, right, price action was still in the same range for the last 3 to 4 weeks, right? For the last actually, almost like 8 weeks, right? Since like a mid-March, we're still in the same level, right? So it is a clear correction, it is a clear possible top formation, but you can never be so sure, okay? We don't want to take out the monthly high 29,851, give or take, depending on your exchange and all that good stuff. If BTC takes out the monthly high, once again, this entire move could be just a simple zigzag formation and take out the monthly high and go up to like a 35-40k possibly, right? But we will see. All right, we will basically need to take out the monthly high before we talk about any possible continuation to the upside, right? On the downside, temporary support 382, just about like a 23.8, right? And 50% pullback, just about like a 21.9, right, give or take for Leroy, okay? Or you can just say like a 22k, right? So these are the level I'm going to be watching going into the summer, right? And if we break below the 50% pullback, we got the 0.618 at 20k area, right? So we got multiple price supports regarding BTC, right? For the correction. And remember, these supports are not like a support for a quick reversal. They could basically hit these lows, right, and move sideways for like a multi-weeks or even month. So I'm not expecting a quick hit and bounce back up, because it could take a long time to reverse, right? Just like what happened right here. It took 6 months to put in the first wave, right? It could take like at least half of that to put in the second wave before the next leg up to the upside, which is going to be the most explosive one, okay? Wave 3 could be up to 1.618 or even higher, right? So we'll see how it goes. We'll discuss it in details, right? Once we get more data and all that good stuff, right? So now let's take a look at it really quickly on a weekly basis. The weekly time frame is lagging, right? So if we want to wait for the weekly time frame for 100% confirmation, right, price action might be below the weekly 21, right? So on the weekly basis, no confirmation of a reversal yet, really. Okay, we only got confirmation on the 3D, right, and on the 5D. But on the weekly, if you're trading the weekly time frame, you could be saying like, okay, I'm gonna wait for BTC to break below the weekly 21, right? If we break below the weekly 21, close below it, I'm gonna be I'm gonna pack my bag, okay, my bags. So that's also possible, okay? So if you're looking at BTC in terms of like a weekly analysis, yes, you still got a probability of not breaking the weekly time frame, okay? So we'll see how it goes over the next like a few weeks and all that good stuff, right? Because the weekly, once again, the weekly going to be lagging. As you can see right here, we crossed positive, but we still fell down. So it doesn't mean like, just because we still positive doesn't mean like we will be shooting to the upside, right? So, so something to basically keep in mind. Even though it is still in an uptrend, right? You just have to anticipate it, try to anticipate the reversal based on the lower degree, like a 3D, 5D, 2D, and all that good stuff. And Leroy, I'm not talking about like the 15-second charts, right? And all that good stuff, right? All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching.